up, Tzu Chi volunteers in the Philippines carry out a quick survey in Tolosa of Leyte province. We go back in time to discover why industrial wastewaters are discharged into Taiwan's farmlands. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. First up, in the Philippines, to extend their help to those that were devastated by Typhoon Haiyan, Tzu Chi volunteers traveled to Tolosa, south of Tacloban City, to conduct a disaster assessment. Seeing the destruction caused by the calamity, a Tzu Chi volunteer who was once a victim of Typhoon Kitsana in 2009 says that she finally realized the meaning of the phrase, "When we see suffering, we must constantly recognize our blessings."
Prior to their departure, Marikina Tzu Chi volunteers in the Philippines traveled to Tolosa, south of Tacloban City, to understand the needs of local residents. After listening to local residents' experiences during the disaster, Hilda-Lisa Hina, who was once a victim of Typhoon Kitsana in 2009, realized the importance of cherishing her blessings.
Many local residents are very sad because many people in this area passed away during the typhoon. All I can say is that people living in Marikina City are very lucky.
Seeing the suffering in Tolosa, Angelita Villanueva, who is still training to become a certified Tzu Chi commissioner, is more determined than ever to walk the Tzu Chi path.
Following Typhoon Kitsana, I vowed to become a full-time volunteer. I want to help those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
As Tolosa is located along the coast, the local government had thought about relocating the neighborhood. Unfortunately, the typhoon came before the plan was carried out.
We have been thinking of relocating the neighborhood. Right now, we are still figuring out what we can do with this piece of land.
In Tolosa, most of the residents make a living by growing coconut trees or fishing. Following the disaster, locals can only make a living by joining Cash for Work program launched by the local government.
We need to build a new boat and make ends meet. If no one is willing to reach out a helping hand, we will definitely be living in hardship. This over here is my old house. My home was completely destroyed in the typhoon. I'm using the wood battens on my damaged house to build a new one.
Today is December 31st, a very important day for the Filipinos. Tomorrow, everyone here will be celebrating the new year. Although many homes are still in the rebuilding process, many residents have decorated their temporary homes with festive decorations.
In the Philippines, Christmas and New Year are the most celebrated holidays.
I found these and I washed them. These were put up on December 24th, so we were able to celebrate Christmas.
Despite the long road to recovery, disaster survivors in Tolosa are determined to stand up once again.
Following Tzu Chi's relief work in Tacloban City of the Philippines, volunteers next organized a tea gathering for Chinese entrepreneurs in hopes of inspiring them to give a little of their love. Meanwhile, another group of volunteers traveled south to carry out a quick survey in the municipality of Tananuan and will provide further assistance if needed. Early in the morning, Tzu Chi volunteers arrive at the municipality of Tananuan, another town south of Tacloban, for a quick survey. What appears before their eyes are scenes of devastation.
The typhoon was similar to a tsunami. The water came and subsided a total of 3 times. The second wave was the highest. Many of those who survived the first wave had to climb up coconut trees.
As life must go on, some residents turn a broken fridge into a boat so to make a living. Tzu Chi volunteers later come across a father and daughter pair who lost family members to the typhoon.
His wife, who was 9 months pregnant, and his 5-year-old son passed away during the typhoon. Now there is only him and his 1-year-old daughter.
As volunteers visit a nearby school, they see only dilapidated classrooms. It goes to show that the warnings before the typhoon were not effective.
The water had flooded this area, and though they were on higher ground, they were still scared. They didn't know the government had warned them about the typhoon and thought there was only going to be strong winds.
With the south of Tacloban still in ruins, Tzu Chi volunteers work to assess the number of residents in need to plan for further relief work. On the same day, the Deputy Director of the Philippines Tiji Chapter, Taiwan Lei, invited 12 Chinese entrepreneurs to a local hotel for a simple gathering. Speaking of Tiji's relief efforts in Tacloban, Tai hopes to inspire the guests to give a little of their love.
All of us in Tacloban should come together. It is our thoughts that count. With good intentions, you donate whatever you can. You make a donation, he makes a donation, and together we are all doing good deeds. We hope to minimize future disasters.
Though some of these businessmen were also victims of Typhoon Haiyan, they were all inspired to give upon learning of Tiji's relief efforts.
I am deeply moved by this Tzu event because we came to understand that there is still love and peace in our society. Coming to help the disaster survivors, we have heard great things from these Filipinos. You've helped them clear away the debris and they are deeply moved.
At the end of the event, the 12 entrepreneurs all signed up to become Tzu members, vowing to work with Tzu volunteers to reach out to those in need. In Tacloban of the Philippines, Palo Town was among one of the worst hit areas during Typhoon Haiyan. Our reporters discovered that in the wake of the typhoon, the cost of building materials has skyrocketed. Most residents now can't afford cement, and the price of wood has even increased by 30%. While residents try their best to move on with their lives, the road to recovery seems to be full of challenges.
Palo Town, blessed with an endless stretch of blue skies and a seemingly calm ocean, residents here are busy with rebuilding their homes. Conducting his business along the road prior to Typhoon Haiyan, this metal scrap collector was paying 12 Philippine peso for every 1 kilogram of metal. However, after the typhoon, he was only willing to pay 7 peso for every kilogram, almost half of what he was paying before.
There's very little opportunity to get money from metal scrap now.
In the disaster areas, prices of commodities have gone up, but the income from selling recyclables has been reduced, putting local residents in more misery. Maclito hits the cement bricks with all his might. He's standing right where Typhoon Haiyan took 9 members of his family.
My cousin's family lived here.
Many nearby residents evacuated the area. However, thinking that cement-constructed homes could withstand any natural threat, many residents were unwilling to leave. Never did they imagine that the typhoon would bring so much death and devastation.
Gusto ko makakuha ng kuwan bahay, tayo.
Meron po kayong pondo?
Wala.
Using wooden planks to rebuild his home, isn't Rogelio worried that it will collapse again?
Of course we are scared, but we have nowhere else to stay and nowhere else to go, so we have to rebuild here. Of course I would like to use cement, but I don't have the money, so this we'll just have to do.
Although it's not sturdy enough, many local residents still purchased wood to rebuild. With each plank less than 4 meters long, prices have gone up 30%, from 60 peso to 80 peso.
We are rebuilding our home here because my children want to live here, and this piece of land was left to me by my mother.
Juan's entire family lives in Palo Town and they refuse to leave. For them, what's most important now is to set up a place of shelter. As for giving the family a stable and solid home, they will need to come up with another plan in the future.
Among the disaster relief team that carried out the latest relief work in the Philippines is a Tzu volunteer from Taiwan named Chen Zhaoyang, who has moved to the country many years ago for employment. To help the disaster survivors, Chen has participated in the relief efforts a few times and says it is wonderful to be alive after witnessing the tragic events. After 2 hours of flight, the blue and white uniformed volunteers once again arrived in Tacloban from Manila. On his 3rd visit to the city, Tzu volunteer Chen Zhaoyang finds a Christmas tree made of PET bottles on the roadside.
When we set up the Cash for Work program, we told the residents to recycle all the plastic bottles.
As he travels deeper into the city, Chen also witnessed some other changes.
When we first came, it looks really devastating. Today the roads are all cleared up and everyone can recognize Tzu because most of them have participated in our Cash for Work program. so that's why the roads are really clean now.
Chen Zhaoyang records how the communities along the seashore were left in ruins, and things didn't change until volunteers taught the residents how to put their money to best use.
These are all recycled wood, and putting them together, they just need to buy corrugated iron. Then at least they have roof over their heads. They were able to buy other necessities with the remaining money. When the typhoon first occurred, they had nothing but the clothes they were wearing.
The improvement of residents' living conditions is the reason why Chen Zhaoyang returns to Tacloban continuously, as he works diligently to serve the disaster survivors. Having lived in the Philippines for so many years, to Chen, this is his second home, and it is through Tzu Chi's relief work that he has found a new meaning to life.
When we first came, every one of us had to slowly dig out the corpse one by one. The smell was really strong, so I realized that there's no need to make a fuss over things in life.
Knowing how life is full of the unexpected, Chen Zhaoyang vows to continue bringing love to every needy corner of society. During the 1970s, to foster economic development, the Taiwanese government encouraged residents to earn a living by assembling machinery or electronic parts in their homes. During that time, factories were set up in and around farmlands. Despite creating an economic boom in communities, industrial wastewater discharge began to plague the countryside, and this problem has hampered Taiwan's crop security ever since. Let's find out more in our next report.
Heavy metal pollution is a long-term problem in Taiwan. Recently, in Taichung and Changhua, such pollution has severely affected the livelihood of local farmers.
自家农田验出重金属污染，田工按管线及封死，负责人
碎屑和有色溶剂
就只好饮用黄钱稀里混浊浓稠的白色污水。
The report said that our rice contains heavy metals. Our fields are worthless. No one will buy our produce.
The major cause of soil pollution is the proximity between factories and farmland.
In
Taichung, there are many electroplating factories. Most of them have no license, and they are found operating in and around nearby farmland.
Up to 60,000 illegal factories were erected in farming areas, all discharging toxic waste.
These small factories simply cannot afford to carry out wastewater treatment.
Taoyuan also has numerous corrugated iron sheet factories built alongside farmland. There are even professional brokers for the farmland factories alike.
As the government started to crack down these illegal factories, they relocated to Changhua and Yunlin, which are the breadbaskets of Taiwan. Taoyuan, Taichung, Changhua, and Kaohsiung are prone to suffer from heavy metal pollution.
Taoyuan is the headquarters of printed circuit board production, which creates waste with copper and zinc. While in Taichung and Changhua, electroplating businesses generate toxic waste that contains nickel, chromium, cadmium, copper, and zinc.
These farmlands were already contaminated with the polluted area about 774 hectares in size, among which 329 hectares of land require remediation.
Taiwan has around 15,000 hectares of farmland polluted by heavy metals, a size equal to 600 DaAi forest parks, or 1/2 of the Lanyang Plain. The EPA found that the local irrigation systems worsen the spread of soil pollution.
In recent years, we have carried out in-depth investigations on irrigation systems. We follow the irrigation networks to trace the source of pollution and to locate potential polluted areas.
With farmland unable to grow safe crops, the consequences will be a common liability that all Taiwanese will have to bear.
Moving to Malaysia to encourage dialysis patients to practice recycling and cherish their blessings, Tzu Chi volunteers and patients of the Tzu Chi Kedah Dialysis Center recently held a tea gathering at dialysis patient Shabuding's home. Upon arrival, volunteers realized that Shabuding not only has to take care of himself but also his bedridden wife. Despite living in hardship, Shabuding remains optimistic and is an inspiration to those around him.
To promote the benefits of recycling, Malaysia Tzu Chi volunteers are holding a tea gathering for patients at the Tzu Chi Kedah Dialysis Center. Different from gatherings in the past, today's event is held at dialysis patient Shabuding's home. Upon their arrival, however, volunteers discovered that Shabuding's wife has been bedridden for more than 4 years.
We are from the Tzu Chi Dialysis Center. We are here to promote recycling and to care for you. We are one family.
I am very thankful that we are one family.
The volunteers and other dialysis patients together sing the song One Family to cheer Rupiah up.
I think I am much better off when compared to her. She's bedridden. I feel very bad for her.
Other than receiving dialysis treatment on a regular basis, Shabuding also has to look after his bedridden wife. Despite the hardship and pain, Shabuding remains optimistic, and his never-say-die spirit has touched the hearts of many dialysis patients.
My legs were amputated, but I can still walk with my artificial limbs. I feel very bad for his wife because she can't walk on her own 2 legs. I think she is worse off than me.
During the tea gathering, many patients expressed their thanks to Shabuding for his unconditional love and support.
He is such a nice person. When I have to go home, he always offers me a ride to the train station.
Thanks to Shabuding, dialysis patients at the Tzu Chi Kedah Dialysis Center realized the importance of cherishing their blessings and came to realize the true meaning of the phrase, when we see suffering, we must constantly recognize our own blessings.
In Xiamen, China, over the past 10 years, Tzu Chi has held annual winter aid distributions to help impoverished families. Behind each winter aid distribution are a group of hardworking volunteers like Chen Xianying, the leader of the Tzu Chi Kitchen Volunteers team, who shows up at the Tzu Chi Xiamen chapter 365 days of the year, or 60-year-old Ji Ge-mu, who was formerly a recipient but now puts on a volunteer's face to pay the love forward.
60-year-old Ji Ge-mu was an aid recipient at Xiamen's first ever Tzu Chi Winter Aid distribution 10 years ago. Now, however, he proudly dons a volunteer's vest.
I'm here today as a volunteer. It's because of Master Zheng Yan's help that I can be here. I'm not a good speaker.
In 2004, Ji Ge-mu was diagnosed with a massive angioma tumor that extended from his jaw to his chest. But thanks to Tzu Chi, he was able to receive surgery to remove the tumor.
Back then, I didn't like to be around people. Now I've changed. I love being around people and volunteering my time. I'm really grateful to be able to have a chance to work hard.
The years of winter aid distribution have slowly inspired local residents to extend their compassion to those in need. In and around the Xiamen area, now volunteers range anywhere from store clerks to college students.
This is the 3rd year I have joined. I volunteer every year.
It's a work day today, and seeing so many people taking a day off from work to volunteer is really moving. There are over 500 volunteers here today.
To be able to complete an aid distribution, much is involved. Besides assigning jobs to volunteers, feeding them is another daunting task. Thankfully, Chen Xianying is there to shoulder some of the burden.
Kitchen volunteers are in charge of providing food for the liaison office. We started at 3 in the morning. We're doing what we know best, and we receive Dharma joy while doing it.
No matter if it's a banquet for 5 or 1,000, every dish Chen Xianying cooks up is healthy and delicious. Eager to help others since young, Chen continues to do her work out of the limelight.
I don't know how to write, but I know my way around the kitchen, so I can help in that area.
Everyone really appreciates Sister Xian Yin. She always gives her all in our winter aid distributions, year-end blessing ceremonies, and other Tzu Chi events.
Over the past 10 years, Tzu Chi's winter aid distributions have helped numerous families get through difficult times. With the help of Tzu Chi, the cycle of love continues to spread as more citizens come to understand the value of giving and receiving.
Staying in China's Fujian province, where Tzu Chi volunteers continue to hold year-end blessing ceremonies. Through sharing the life stories of its members and care recipients at these events, volunteers hope to inspire the compassion in participants' hearts. But first, we join another group of volunteers as they go door to door to hand out aid supplies to those who cannot make it out of their house to Tzu Chi's winter aid distributions.
Tzu Chi volunteers in China travel to Dangmao Shan Farm in Xiamen, Fujian province, bringing rice, cooking oil, and daily necessities into the hands of care recipients.
来头有一个生活用品吼，在起锅，像这无啊，无啊，这是略清的嘞，吼，略清的嘞。
8 years ago, 41-year-old Huang Juntong was involved in a car accident that left him immobilized, thus leaving him in the care of his 86-year-old mother. Upon seeing the living conditions of the family, ICU nurse Bai Xiaojun was deeply saddened.
Previously, when we worked in the ICU, sometimes patients' family members were unable to spend time with the patient. So as medical staff, we would stand in as their family. But seeing this scene here, my heart goes out to her.
Meanwhile, in Zhangzhou, care recipient Dai Mu Lian persists in doing recycling despite her hindered mobility. Her husband works odd jobs making a meager income, but their family of 5 knows their blessings. Dai's family first met Tzu Chi at the winter aid distribution of 2011. Over the past few years, they have not only begun regularly practicing recycling, but also share their inspiring story at this year's year-end blessing ceremony.
Thank you, Tzu Chi, for helping us get through difficult times.
During the blessing ceremony, everyone lined up to receive their red envelope of blessing and wisdom, including Huang Huimu, who was unable to make ends meet after being involved in a car accident. Huang received Tzu Chi's assistance to help rebuild his home.
Thank you, Tzu Chi. Thank you to all those who have helped me.
It's been 5 years since Tzu Chi first stepped foot in Zhangzhou, and volunteers have been doing their best to inspire more residents to join Tzu Chi.
Every year, stories that touch the hearts of the audience can inspire others to join our cause and join our Tzu Chi family.
In the midst of blessings to welcome in the new year, Tzu Chi volunteers hope the seeds of love will continue to blossom.
Back to Taiwan at the end of today's show, as the 1st of January also marks DaAi TV's 16th birthday. Unlike previous years where celebrations were held, some 20 staff members joined Tzu Chi volunteers in Danshui on a home visitation and helped clean up a care recipient's home. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.